Please raise your right hand.
Tonight, a new Congress opens as the president-elect faces a deepening recession and a war in Gaza that's growing more deadly by the day. I'm Katie Couric. We'll take you to the Middle East, where Israeli shelling today killed dozens of Palestinian civilians. But Israel accuses Hamas of using those civilians as human shields. There's nothing wrong with your television, but the picture could soon look like this in millions of American homes. And what do you do when you lose your job? If you're like her, you bake yourself a new one.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. Barack Obama takes office as the 44th president of the United States 2 weeks from today. But the world is not on hold until then. The recession is deepening and the war in the Middle East is worsening. And now, as Chief White House correspondent Chip Reed reports, Mr. Obama has been drawn into the conflict.
For the first time, President-elect Obama publicly weighed in today on the raging violence in Gaza.
I am deeply concerned about the conflict that's taking place there. The loss of civilian life in Gaza and in Israel is a source of deep concern to me.
He was responding to a question, but sources say Mr. Obama had every intention of addressing the Gaza issue today, a conflict they say he's been following very closely, even asking his daily intelligence briefers for extra updates on the humanitarian situation. Those sources say the president-elect wanted his voice to be heard around the globe. Foreign policy expert Rick Barton.
All over the world, there's a great deal of interest in what President-elect Obama has to say, and it's important for him to establish the values of the next presidency.
But even before he's sworn in, Mr. Obama today became the target of a verbal attack by al-Qaeda. In an effort to turn public opinion in the Arab world against the president-elect, Ayman al-Zawahiri, top deputy to Osama bin Laden, accused Mr. Obama of, quote, killing your brothers and sisters in Gaza with no mercy or compassion. The president-elect said he will have plenty more to say about the Gaza conflict, but not until after January 20th.
Right now, President George Bush, as President of the United States, speaks on behalf of the U.S. government and the American people when it comes to international affairs.
When candidate Obama toured Israel in July, though, he supported the idea of an Israeli response.
If somebody was sending rockets into my house where my two daughters sleep at night, I'm going to do everything in my power to stop that. And I would expect Israelis to do the same thing.
Despite today's detour into foreign policy, Mr. Obama's economic plan is still far and away his top issue. It's expected to dominate a press conference tomorrow and a major speech on Thursday. Katie?
Chip Reed. Chip, thanks very much. Meanwhile, street battles continue inside Gaza. But late today, Israel agreed to set up a humanitarian corridor so urgently needed supplies of food and medicine can be brought in. UN officials say more than 600 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli offensive, half of them civilians. Today, dozens were killed when Israeli forces attacked a school. Mark Phillips reports from the front lines.
There is nowhere to hide in Gaza. Not between the advancing Israelis and the Hamas militants they're trying to hunt down and kill. These people had taken refuge in a school run by the UN. It was no refuge. The Israelis say they were taking mortar fire from the school grounds and so responded with fire of their own. Residents say Hamas was firing from a street near the school. The UN and Gazan medical officials put the death count at more than 40, some of them inevitably children.
We have the tragedy of the deaths last night in one of our schools where people had come fleeing the conflict, hoping for safety, and now they're dead.
Hamas may be hiding among the people, but it is the people who are paying the price. Israeli explanations are of little consequence to them.
Unfortunately, during a battle, during a war, there are also injuries and losses of civilians, but we try to avoid it as far as we can.
The Israelis later say they found the remains of a Hamas mortar crew at the school and have released their own camera footage of the close-range fighting over the past day. In an urban battleground, there is little time to distinguish from exactly which building the enemy fire may be coming. Israel entered this conflict saying it wanted to change the situation in Gaza, not necessarily change the regime. But Hamas resistance may be forcing Israel's hand.
I don't see a very quick resolution of this at the moment, and I think it's going to carry on for a little while until, as I said, one of the parties blinks, and I don't think it's going to be Israel.
The Israelis say that only they can know when they've done enough damage to Hamas that they can stop. But they're fighting another enemy now, too, growing international outrage at the terrible toll this operation is taking in innocent lives. And so the furious diplomacy has continued. French President Sarkozy tried to get one of Hamas's sponsors, President Bashar Assad of Syria, to pressure Hamas to agree to stop firing its rockets into Israel. But Assad refused, and the rockets kept coming, one landing a full 25 miles inside Israel. Schools and many businesses within Hamas rocket range remain closed. Now Egypt's President Hosni Mubarak has joined the European call for a ceasefire, but only promising talks. Talking is not what either side seems ready to do yet. Mark Phillips, CBS News on the Israel-Gaza border.
Mark and other foreign journalists have been forced to report from outside Gaza. Israel won't let them in, saying it's simply too dangerous. The footage you saw was gathered by Palestinian journalists. Several news organizations have appealed to Israel's Supreme Court to open the borders to journalists. And events in Gaza have huge political ramifications for the president-elect. Jeff Greenfield is our senior political correspondent. And Jeff, as we just heard, this is the first time President-elect Obama spoke publicly about the situation in Gaza. This could be as challenging as the economy will be for him.
Not only that, but it's a remarkable division. The world is looking at Gaza and the Middle East as Obama's number 1, 2, and 3 challenges. For most Americans, the challenge is to do something about the teetering economy. And also in a case where for 2.5 months since his election, he doesn't have any power, and the present president really effectively has left the scene. So it's a remarkable series of events before he's even inaugurated.
And do you think that his administration, Jeff, will signal a real sea change in how the situation in the Middle East is approached by this country?
You know, this is a remarkable challenge because the world has seen Obama in many ways as a wholly new face of American leadership. And for them, that might include a change in policy. The domestic political considerations, though, you know, are very difficult to change. This is a pro-Israel country and a pro-Israel Congress. And as far as the Middle East peace plan, I went back and looked and gave up trying to count the number of peace plans going back literally 60 years. The Mind Reels, the Rogers Plan, the Tenet Plan, the Zinni Plan, the Mitchell Plan, the Y River Accords. So for the new president to come in and say, I think I know how to fix this essentially 2,000-year-old conflict, it doesn't get any tougher than that one.
All right. Jeff Greenfield. Jeff, thank you so much. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, the new 111th Congress convened today for the first time, but when members were sworn in, the newly appointed junior senator from Illinois was not among them. Here's Wyatt Andrews.
Roland Burris came to the Senate engulfed in a full media spectacle, but the fireworks faded quickly. Burris, as promised, demanded his seat in the Senate, got rejected, and that was it.
Advised that my credentials were not in order and I would not be accepted and I would not be seated.
But CBS News has learned Senate Democrats are now rethinking Burris's rejection. Where last week Democrats bluntly said Burris will not be seated, period, they are now hinting they might consider seating Burris if Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is impeached by the state legislature.
And we await that proceeding as senators as well.
The hard line against Burris is shifting both because of the publicity and his central argument that even if Blagojevich was trying to sell the Senate seat, there's no evidence Burris was a buyer.
There's nothing wrong with Roland Burris, and there's nothing wrong with his appointment.
Meanwhile, in Minnesota, Norm Coleman is appealing the recount vote that gave his Senate seat to actor and comedian Al Franken. In the Senate, Majority Leader Harry Reid urged Coleman to simply quit.
Graciously conceding would be the right step. This can't drag on forever.
This race will be determined by Minnesota voters, not by Harry Reid.
But while there was chaos in the Senate, the House's first day was a family affair and far less partisan, with Republicans responding to the new outreach from the president-elect.
When our new president, extends his hand across the aisle to do what is right for our country, Republicans will extend ours in return.
Roland Burris actually returns here to the Senate tomorrow to meet with the Democratic leadership, and this meeting could get interesting. Several Democrats told us today that Burris will help his case if he offers not to run for the full term in 2010. In other words, Katie, there's just a lot of old-fashioned political concern here. He's not the right candidate to beat a strong Republican 2 years from now.
Wyatt Andrews reporting from Capitol Hill tonight. One more note about the incoming Obama administration, an unconventional choice for Surgeon General. CBS News has learned the job has been offered to Dr. Sanjay Gupta. He, of course, is the medical correspondent for CNN as well as a CBS News contributor. Sanjay is a practicing neurosurgeon and reportedly would be involved with healthcare policy as well as health initiatives. Well, from television correspondent, we move now to a story about television sets. Next month, a lot of older models won't work because of the government-mandated switch to digital broadcasting. 69 million sets in use today won't get the signal. As Bill Whitaker reports, that could leave nearly 20 million American households unplugged unless they take action.
If you, American TV owner, have not prepared for the transition to digital, at midnight February 17th, your picture is going to look like this, leaving people like Christine Higbee looking at nothing.
I can't understand it.
People with new TVs bought after 2004 with cable or satellite need not worry, but 20 million households who get their signals the old-fashioned way over the airwaves will need one of these, a $40 to $80 converter box. The problem is the billion-dollar federal program to help people buy the boxes with these $40 coupons has run out of money. Higbee is running out of time.
I guess they just completely miscalculated, or, we're not thinking about how many people were going to get converters.
A huge miscalculation, just as the economic downturn has Americans foregoing expensive purchases like new TVs. Government aid to buy the converter boxes dries up. The hardest hit, the elderly, the poor, and rural Americans.
If they do not get their coupon in time, we recommend that they either buy a converter box without a coupon, buy another television, or connect to cable, satellite, or another pay television service.
It's very unfortunate that the federal government has mandated that this switch happen and then not helped them through this transition.
Public service announcements have raised awareness.
Is your TV ready for the big switch?
Consumer Reports found that 90% of Americans know of the transition, but it also found 25% mistakenly believe they must have cable or satellite, and 41% mistakenly think every TV must have a converter box. The confusion ripe for parody.
After you purchase the converter, it's time to install it.
A waiting list for coupons is 6 weeks long, so for millions of Americans, it's already too late to avoid having their programs interrupted. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And coming up next, right here on the CBS Evening News, the picture is less than crystal clear for a company that's been a household name for hundreds of years. On the CBS News Money Watch tonight, the economic downturn is about to claim a lot more jobs. Alcoa announced today it will eliminate more than 13,500 worldwide. And for those keeping their jobs, Alcoa will freeze their salaries. Meanwhile, the government reported today that the orders that keep American factories humming have now fallen 4 months in a row. Overseas, thousands of jobs are in jeopardy at a British company that for 250 years has defined luxury, elegance, and bridal registries. After losing money for 5 years, Waterford Wedgwood has filed for bankruptcy. Elizabeth Palmer reports on the effort to save an icon of the Emerald Isle.
For Waterford, designers of the famous New Year's Ball in New York's Times Square, 2009 brought a final countdown to bankruptcy. It's a devastating setback for one of the world's most famous luxury brands, celebrated for fine glassware, crystal sporting trophies, and presentation pieces. even Ronald Reagan's jelly bean jar.
I don't think anyone can quite get their head around what's happened, what a huge blow this is to British industry.
In fact, it's a double blow. In the 1980s, Irish Waterford bought the English icon Wedgwood, whose dishes have graced elegant tables worldwide since the 18th century. But more than 200 years on, lifestyles have changed, and people just don't need as many dishes.
Young people are so happy to have TV dinners. They're far more practical than my age group, where I always have had a best set.
Talks are reportedly now underway with 3 interested buyers for this oh-so-British business, all of them from the United States.
The receiver believes that it may be possible to sell the business as a going concern, which would be very good for everyone. But, you know, there is a certain question mark when the receiver comes in.
Waterford was driven out of business once before by high taxes in 1851. That time it remained closed for 100 years. Everyone's hoping for a speedier rescue this time, so the noble old company is a going concern again in time for New Year 2010. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
And when we come back, why future generations may remember George W. Bush as the environmental president. 2 weeks before he leaves office, President Bush today defended his record as commander-in-chief. At a farewell ceremony in Virginia, he conceded the decisions he made were not always popular, but said every mission had been part of a just cause. The president also thanked the men and women of the military for answering the call to serve when the nation needed them the most. Of course, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan will always be part of the Bush legacy, but the 43rd president will also be remembered for something that might surprise you: preserving the oceans. Our national correspondent Jim Axelrod reports on the major step Mr. Bush took today.
These rare birds and fish are now under federal protection, along with these unique geological formations. President Bush designated 3 areas in the Pacific national marine monuments, the largest marine conservation project in history.
For seabirds and marine life, they will be sanctuaries to grow and thrive.
Nearly 200,000 square miles are covered. The Mariana Trench near Guam, a string of islands far south and west of Hawaii, and Rose Atoll, an island east of Samoa. This is home to colorful deepwater fish, sharks, whales, and dolphins. At more than 35,000 feet, the Mariana Trench is deeper than Mount Everest is tall, with gases from the Earth's core bubbling through, and the only bird known to incubate its eggs with heat from a volcano. Mr. Bush had already set aside 140,000 square miles of Hawaiian ocean in 2006.
Long after this president is gone, and after many of the edicts of his presidency are long forgotten, these places and the life they contain will still be there.
And so as George Bush leaves office, the president many environmentalists loathe will have protected more ocean than any person in history. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, the White House.
And coming up next, she lost her job on Wall Street. Now she's got a new way to make some dough. Finally tonight, the economy has lost close to 2 million jobs since the recession began. So for laid-off workers, finding a new job can be really tough. Sometimes, as Anthony Mason reports, it's best to cook one up yourself.
When Wall Street veteran Jessie Walter goes to work these days, she goes to the supermarket.
What are we shopping for today?
Gingerbread.
Gingerbread. We're making gingerbread houses?
We're making gingerbread houses and gingerbread kid cookies.
3 months ago, Walter started a new business.
All right, so what do we want to do before we start cooking always?
Teaching kids to cook, launching her company, Cupcake Kids, after her previous career as a market strategist crashed.
I was at Bear Stearns. I worked on Wall Street for 5 years, and I got laid off. June 2nd was my last day.
Bear Stearns, the investment banking giant, was the first major casualty of the subprime crisis. Last March, on the brink of collapse, Bear was bought by J.P. Morgan Chase.
Did you have a moment of panic the day you found out?
I'd say shock.
Half of its 14,000 employees, including Jessie Walter, lost their jobs. She also lost a 6-figure salary.
I felt like, okay, this has happened, so what am I going to do?
Young, single, and with no mortgage to pay off, Walter decided to risk a radical career change.
And this economy doesn't scare you?
Well, no. I mean, I think it's definitely a tough economy, but I feel like being scared won't really help.
For now, she works alone out of her tiny apartment, hiring part-time teachers to help her run the cooking classes.
Income-wise, you have to take the hit.
Oh, sure. Most definitely.
And Walter says she's working harder than she ever did on Wall Street. But business is picking up. She's almost breaking even.
So you're thinking, if I can get through this...
Definitely, then you never know.
Right.
It will be, only hopefully good things from here.
The economic crisis is forcing many Americans to rethink how they live.
All right, pizzas are ready!
For Jesse Walter, it's meant a whole new recipe. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
And that is the CBS Evening News for tonight. I'm Katie Couric. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.